Well, finally, college football is coming back to Boulder, Colorado. The Prime era is underway, and we come to you for the Post Chicken and Beer in downtown Boulder. Great day. We got a great crowd out here today. You guys look fantastic, by the way. You look like you're ready for college football. You know that? Yes, no doubt about it. And I tell you what, it all kicks off on Saturday. It's an early game, the big noon game on Fox. We'll have it on the Colorado Football Network. Gary Barnett, Bobby Passavano, and yours truly get things underway at 8 o'clock a.m. Mountain Time. From down at Fort Worth, Texas, Colorado takes on number 17 TCU. And then at 10 o'clock, Coach Prime and the Buffaloes will kick off against a team that played for the national championship a year ago. Coming up the program, we got Coach Prime. He's right behind us. He's going to be working his way out here any second. And we'll have him for the first half hour of the show. And then we've got Coach Flea. Gary Harrell's going to join us for the assistant coaches segment. He's the assistant head coach. And also Anthony Hankerson is going to be joining us as well. Buff running back. And, boy, if you've had – obviously you guys have been following what's been going on with the football team and what Coach Prime has been able to do. The turnover on the roster, a lot of new faces, a lot of talent. I've been at many of the practices. It's a great-looking football team, and there's a lot of excitement. And I think you guys can feel it as well, can't you? I mean, well, that's why you're here today. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And I've been saying the number of interviews I've done around the country. Somebody asked me the other day on ESPN, they said, what's it been like in Boulder since December 4th when Coach Prime was hired? I said, it's like a tsunami is at Boulder, Colorado. I mean, it's been overwhelming, and it's affected every aspect of the athletic department. I mean, the first time since 1996, rather, we've got sold-out season tickets at Colorado. So you guys have done a great job in that regard. Obviously, for those of us involved in kind of the marketing arm, you know, with the radio broadcast, all the TV things that we do, and all the signage, we've seen the unbelievable response there from sponsors and endorsements and donations. We just saw news about that here just a couple of days ago. It has been an amazing response with what Coach Prime has done since he got to town here. Coach is coming out? He's coming out right now? Oh, well, let's do it. He's coming out from right behind. Let's bring in Coach Prime. What's up, Coach? Got a great crowd here at the Post today. And by the way, I need to mention, Buffs Primetime is brought to us by Aflac. I think Coach knows a little something about the folks over at Aflac. We'll let him get his headphones on. And by the way, just for the record here, we've got Coach Prime sitting next to me, obviously. We started calling this Buffs Primetime about 10 or 11 years ago. So I don't know, the Cosmos knew you were coming, apparently. I
kind of missed on that for 10 years.
We were just trying to get it right by the time you got here. How are you?
I'm tired right now. I'm sorry. I get up so darn early in the morning, and I get over there at the school really early. We're in the meetings at 7:15, sure. And we've been out there working. So now we're ready, to get on the plane and go get it on.
That's a great spot to go. There you go. Yeah. And we're taking off tonight. We're going down to Buffalo practice in Fort Worth tomorrow, then a game, as I mentioned.
We want to practice because we want to get acclimated to the heat.
Sure.
We do this thing we call 24 till. So if the game starts at 11 a.m. In Dallas, we're going to practice at 11 a.m. Then we account for the 24 hours till the kickoff, so we could make sure we account for all those kids' times. Because, you know, young kids 18 to 22, 24, you got to make sure you account for the time.
There's no doubt about it.
I was a kid before, so I know what they do.
Hey, you talk about getting to the office early each and every day. What's an average day for Coach Prime? What does it start for you, and how does it unfold all day long?
Let me see. I probably get up 4:45.
I was going to say, you got to be an early
riser.
Yeah,
I get up 4:45, and I get to the office fairly early, and I just, I calm myself down and pray and think through the day. Then I come up with a morning theme, or either I come up with it the night before to give the guys a 3 to 5 minute video that they watch during the morning meeting, and it kind of get them going. Then I elaborate from that video on the theme of the day.
Okay.
Yeah. Then we get going. Even though the meeting started at 7:15, I always start about 7:10, 7:08, something like that. Trying to just train these young men to be on time as men when they grow up, and because everybody's not going pro, and you're going to have a job, you're going to have something that you really got to be on time with.
So your idea is to start them not necessarily with the football, but more kind of life type deal.
Yeah, everybody's going through life things. I'm sorry. Right. See, if somebody would have did that in my meeting, I would have thrown them out. Hey, Sam, call Coach Ray, please. That could be a recruit, so I'm sorry. Right. Yeah, so we just trying to prepare them for life.
Okay.
And then we add the football into it.
Yeah.
And then we break. We have special teams. Then we get the day started. But then the day may go on to, well, camp is over, thank God, because it was long days. I mean, they had evening meetings as well and watched film. So the kids went out of there to some 8 o'clock. So you imagine that morning to like 8 p.m. or 9 p.m.
Right.
Yeah, but now the thing about me, I want the coaches to live a life.
Sure.
I don't want divorces. I don't want separations. I want them to be home to eat with their kids. I want them to be home and eat with their wife and wives. Because if you're there early in the morning, just say 6 o'clock to 6 p.m., that's a long day, man.
You bet it is.
Yeah. Don't tell your wife you was there with me because you're going to see me at home. I'm probably in the bed by 7:30, right. And I'll probably sleep by 8:30, something like that.
Early riser, early
yes,
bed.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, you just said something that I've always found fascinating about, you know, players that get into coaching. A lot of times when I've asked players about getting into coaching, like, not a chance, man. Those coaches, what they've got to do, the time, the investment, it's nuts.
But that's a lie. I mean, the coaches, if you open the darn door, they probably in there watching Sanford and Son or something like that. It don't take all that. It don't take all of that to be there all day.
So be more efficient.
You don't want to go home.
Right.
You don't want to go home to your wife. You don't want to go home to your kids. They need to be honest. It don't take all of that all day. And I really want our coaches to raise their kids, man. I don't like that. I don't like them over at the complex to the wee hours of the night, and they've been over there since 5:36 in the morning. I don't like that.
Yeah. You're saying be more efficient with what you're doing, essentially.
Well, they're efficient. They just you go home. Go home.
Don't mess around.
Don't mess around. Go home.
Why did you get into coaching?
God has called me to bring solvency to problems.
Okay.
So I didn't just say, hey, I'm going to coach. It didn't happen like that. You know, I was retired, and my youngest sons, because I've always coached my oldest daughter and Bucky, you know, who does all our social. But now I'm retired, and I'm taking Shiloh and Shador to practice. And I've got the lawn chair, I got the cooler. I'm the real dad, you know. I'm sitting up there chilling, and so the coach have them like 20 yards away from each other. I'm like, somebody's going to get a concussion.
Sure.
So I get up and I go help and I show them. Then they do some other drill. It's just as severe. Somebody's going to get hurt. So I get up and show them. So about 20 minutes later, I'm running the whole darn practice. So I'm sitting up there thinking, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it my way.
Yeah.
Not your way. I'm not going to be involved in that. I'm going to be the something, and you're going to be involved with what I'm doing. So I started this youth program called Truth, which meant trust in God, respect myself and others, understand I have unlimited possibilities, try my best, never give up, and honor the truth and its creed at all times. And our first tryout at the Cotton Bowl, we had 1,200 kids.
Wow.
And Coach Mathis and Coach Hart has been coaching with me they've been with me for over 20 years. So we've been coaching. And when we went to the Hall of Fame, when I got inducted, we played in Memphis, we played in Louisville, and we played in Canton. We took 7 busloads of kids. And we played games all the way through. We did everything with them kids. We had school. We rented schools in the summer, and we ran it like a training camp. So I've been Coach Prime for a long time. The country is just getting to know that guy.
Right.
But we've been doing this for a long time, and we love it. I mean, it's not a job. It's not a chore. It's something we love to do.
I'm still trying to get my head around the idea that Coach Prime is just out there like an average dad sitting with a cooler, huh?
Yeah.
That's hard for me to even imagine.
Yeah, I had the drinks, and, you know, I had all the little snacks and the stuff, and I was just trying my best to stay out of the way, but I couldn't help myself.
So coaching your kids like you have, you got Shiloh and Shador on your team right now. There's a lot of awesomeness, I would think, that just about that every day being involved in their lives that way. What's the hard part about coaching your kids?
It's not.
No?
It's not a hard part about coaching your kids. It's a blessing. I mean, it's a blessing to really get to go out there. And I'm never down because when the defense is on the field, you know, Shiloh's doing his thing, and the offense on the field, Shador's doing his thing. Right. And, you know, you're waiting on special teams. That's the only Selah you kind of get. But I absolutely love it. That's all I know. I don't know no other way. They don't know another way. I've always coached them, I mean, in football, baseball, and basketball. We have so many athletic memories. Sure. It's unbelievable.
Well, I was going to say, too, being that you were such a multi-sport athlete, did you ever encourage them to go anything or just say, hey,
no, that's the family job.
Yeah.
No, you're going to do that. You're going to play for sports. That's,
okay.
Yeah,
all right.
That's what we're going to do. Like, it's the family job. That was the expectation. You know, like Bill Gates, he's going to give a computer to his kids. Like, let's go.
Sure, I understand that.
Yeah, let's go. So that was the family job. But my thing with my kids, I told them, you don't have to be the best, but you got to give me your best.
Okay.
So I want you to go at it, go hard at all times. If you don't want to go hard, we have no business doing that.
Now, I was going to say the boys have ended up being football players. Did you want them to be baseball players at all?
They play baseball all the way through.
Yeah.
Shiloh can play. Rick and I talked about this. Like that's my dream.
Right.
I want to be so dominant here. I mean, we're going to be so dominant that we're going to pack the stadium. We're going to sell out all our apparel. We're going to do this. We're going to be on television. We're going to make so much. Yeah. We're going to command so much revenue for this university that we're going to add a baseball team. Yeah.
Man, now you're talking.
That's the dream. That's the dream. That's the goal.
That has, they used to have baseball years ago.
Right.
Right. And that is, I've been here 20 years now, and that's the one thing I get asked about all the time. Can we get a baseball team?
That's
back?
the goal.
So,
that's the dream.
You're talking their language right now.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I would love that.
What sport were you better at, in your mind?
Basketball.
Basketball?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it was nice. That's where the nickname came from. That's where the Primetime came from. Yeah. We brought Richard Fain in. He's a banker. He grew up with me. He does investments, and he talked to our team about financial literacy and length, and they still reach out to him today. So we're always trying to encourage our kids to go in the right direction. But he named me Primetime from basketball.
Yeah.
So we played football, baseball, and basketball together coming up from youth, and it was basketball that gave me the nickname.
So I have no doubt in my mind, being as dominant as you were physically in all the sports you were involved in, when did you play with the idea of maybe pursuing that in college?
No, not whatsoever, because I found out, and one of my dearest coaches who I kind of patterned myself after a little bit, as well as Coach Andrews, that was at FSU with me. He was tough and he was hard-nosed, but he told me after the fact, he hit all my basketball letters. Because I had football and baseball. And baseball, and he didn't want that to interfere with anything I had going on.
Right.
So he didn't even give me basketball letters. I was all state in basketball. I was like that, but I'm 6 foot,
Right.
It ain't too many AIs out there in Chris Paul's.
That's true, yeah. That's exactly
I think
right.
we made the right decisions.
Yeah, simply becomes a Hall of Famer in football and one of the great baseball players of all time as well. And I was a great coach for the University of Colorado. I should mention our Buffs Primetime show is brought to us by Aflac. Get help with expenses health insurance doesn't cover. Visit Aflac.com to learn more. We're going to take a quick break here at the Post Chicken and Beer. We'll come back on the other side, talk a little football with Coach Prime as we get ready for the season opener on Saturday at TCU. This is Colorado football from Learfield. University of Colorado football is brought to us by the Hiltons on Canyon. You're coming to Boulder for a game? Stay at the Hiltons on Canyon, proud hotel partner of the Colorado Buffaloes. Back on Buffs Prime Time, presented by Aflac. Coach Prime here for one more segment. Out here at the Post Chicken and Beer. We're out here every week for the show. I think you've probably noticed about Coach Prime a little bit. He's got kind of a marketing mentality in terms of. So he just leans over to me during the commercial break and he said, "How long are these breaks?" I said, 4 minutes. He said, "Well, let's get them involved next week." So next week, let's take a couple of questions from the crowd during the commercial break. So you can either watch it on social media or listen on the radio network next week. But if you're here in person, you get a little extra interaction with Coach Prime.
Awesome.
Yeah. Where'd that come from with you? I mean,
what do you mean?
The idea is you're always thinking about marketing and
just
branding and
everything. No, not just marketing, branding. Just elevating.
Right.
That's pretty much the thing. I think it came from my childhood. I was a dreamer, man. I mean, I dreamt a lot. My mother worked her butt off, and my stepfather as well. Biological father, Papa, was a Rolling Stone, so I spent a lot of time at the crib by myself.
Okay.
And I watched a lot of television, man. And I saw deep within the shows. I mean, I saw different dynamics. I mean, it could be the Brady Bunch. I saw dynamics in the Partridge Family, All in the Family, Archie Bunker, the Sanford and Son, Good Times, the Jefferson. Like I dissected that stuff, and everybody was just watching it for entertainment, and I was just watching it for the dynamic.
Okay.
Because they always gave us a problem, then they gave us a solution. Now these shows never give us solvency. They never give us solutions. Back then, you always had the solution at the end of the show, or it was to be continued.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so that's what we try to do. I try to just bring solutions to the problems that presented by us in the country. That's what I try to do.
Okay.
Just bring solutions.
So that's always the lens you're trying to look through.
I'm trying to fix something. Yeah, instead of complaining about something being on the floor, I just pick it up. Then I just try to fix it so it don't happen again.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of that, you come in here And you picked up a football program. You're trying to fix that.
Yeah.
How do you feel about where we're sitting right now?
I feel really good.
Yeah?
I feel really good. I know some of you got a little hot up on the collar when we had to do what we had to do, but we had to do what we had to do because we didn't want you acting like you were been acting and upset like you've been upset. But it wasn't a good roster.
No.
And I'm not going to be shy about it. You know, I don't sugarcoat nothing. I tell you the darn truth. Even if it's your cousin or relative or whatever that do. And you know something that they don't know? Let me tell them
What's
this.
that?
And where's Flea? I just saw Flea over there. We can atone to this. Honestly, they talk about how many people left and how many we discarded. Mm-hmm. We probably had meetings with probably only 20 people.
Is that right?
The rest of them quit.
Okay.
They quit.
So after that initial meeting, they made the decision to leave.
No, like the meeting was to say, with 20 people, this may not work. We're going to go in a different direction. The rest of them quit before that. They didn't even have a chance to have the meeting. Like it was like a pack of people at certain times. Like they got together and said, guess what, guys, we're going to quit tomorrow. We're going to stick together, right? I'm like, who does that? That happened right before the spring game. Like all the defensive linemen quit. Yeah. Except for, probably 3 or 4 of them that we brought in. But honestly, that's what was happening. Yeah. So we were getting blamed for guys quitting. Yeah. And that was awesome. Like, how can you do that?
So as you sit here today then, with all the turnover you've had, the way you've rebuilt this roster, you feel like you've got everyone's rowing in the same direction. Right?
I don't feel like I got. I know I got what I got. I don't feel. That's emotions. I'm not emotional when it comes to this game. Like I'm adamant. I understand and I'm defined. We have a formula. It's 40-40-20. 40 grad transfers, 40 out of the board, and 20% high school. That's it. That's been our formula for the last 3 years. It is going to continue until we flip it. Now we could say, okay, now let's go 30% high school. Okay, now let's go maybe 50% grad transfers because they're older kids, they're more mature, they're more defined of what they want out of this game. Mm-hmm. You got a lot of high school kids, you got to figure out who they are. And then right when you figure out who they are, guess what happens? They jump in the portal. Right. Because they're not happy with the way we coach. We're a bunch of old school coaches. We don't sugarcoat it and we don't placate it. We tell you how it is. Like we're like old school parents. That's who we are. Yeah. Yeah, now you got parents negotiating with kids, trying to be the kids' friends and trying to be the homies. We ain't got time for that. Yeah. It's going to be like this or it ain't going to be.
You know the old line, I told my kids this, I'm sure you thought the same way. I said, you got plenty of friends. You only got one father.
Here you go.
Right?
And I'm not trying to be your friend.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be that. One day you're going to wise up and say, you know what, he was telling me the truth. Yeah. Whether you like the way the presentation was or not. And I ain't got time to be tweaking my presentation. Yeah. My presentation is how it is.
Coach Prime, when you got here and Shedeur came along with you, mm-hmm. and we saw some of the highlights from down at Jackson, and right. he looked like a great quarterback. I've said watching him in person, he's more impressive than I thought he was going to be.
Why? Well, let's digress now. You talk about my son now.
Right.
Okay,
no.
This is not Coach Prime. This is my son. This is Dad.
Exactly.
I'm just joking with you.
I didn't mean as a short. I just, you know the way our world works.
You did.
Right.
You did. You thought this is what you thought. Just because he came from an HBCU, he didn't have it. You got to understand, these guys that came with us, they chose to go.
They did, yes.
To an HBCU. They didn't have to go. Shedeur was a 4-star quarterback. He could have gone anywhere, but his problem was he's impatient like his dad. He didn't want to wait. He's like, I ain't waiting 2 years to get on the field. He could have went to Alabama. I'm not waiting 2 years. I want to play right now. So he chose FAU because he had a relationship with Willie Taggart. Okay. That derived from FSU. When he was going to go there, but the coordinator that we're playing against this week was there, and he didn't treat him kindly. Okay. So it's a lot of blood in that thing.
I was going to say
a lot of bad blood in that thing.
Yeah.
So Shedeur was like that.
Yeah. Well, I knew he was recruited highly. I knew he was a highly regarded athlete. But I've been in this a long time. I see a lot of highly regarded guys that never quite pan out. So when he got here, I guess I got a little Missourian in me. I want to see it, right? Show me. He's awful impressive.
Right.
What do you love about him as a quarterback? I mean, be the coach, not the dad.
He's rock steady.
Yeah.
Shedeur don't fluctuate. He's not up and down. Like what you're going to see, and you're going to see, it's a tradition of ours. It started, in high school and even before that. We walk from the sideline to the goal line, right before kickoff. And on the way there, I'm his dad. On the way back, I'm his coach.
Interesting.
So what we talk about on the way there is totally different from what we talk about on the way back. And we've been doing that for a long time. Yeah. So Shedeur have only played in his life 4 games without me, and that's when I was hospitalized with these blood clots in Jackson. So he's never seen nothing other, but I know what he has. I know how he was raised. I know his thought process. I know how serious he is about the game. And he doesn't play about this game.
So you talk about walking down as a father, coming back as a coach. During the game, is it hard to separate that?
No.
No?
I'm coach. I mean, it was one practice. It was because I was behind the defense, and you know Shiloh's the free safety, and he went out and did what Shiloh does. He's really physical. He blew someone up, and he just started cussing him out. I said, Shiloh, I'm right here. He said, sorry, Dad. I'm like, I'm right here. But honestly, that was the first time I've ever heard him talk like that.
Is that right?
Yes. Now, I heard Shador slip when we were in high school. That's when I first heard him use profanity.
Okay.
We were in high school, and I was down there, you know, I was the offensive coordinator then, going over everything. And he was just letting his offensive line have it. And I heard some words that I'm like, son. Like, I got to do what I got to do, Dad. So they change a lot.
Right.
They change a lot. And as the game approaches with Shador, he gets more and more serious and more certain.
Yeah. On game day on the sideline, obviously you, as the head coach, how vocal are you with your coaches?
Very.
Are you?
I mean, I have the headset on and I hear everything that's going on and I implement what I want what's going on. But a lot of my work is done through the week to prepare.
Sure.
You know, in preparations. I mean, you'll see little things on the sideline. You're like, what is that for? Where's the flag? Because I need to know what yard line we need to get to for the 3 kickers. We got 3 kickers that are phenomenal, and they all are different flags. And I know who's really good from that side, that in the middle, and this hash. And you got to know those personalities of those guys. And I could see and feel my guys, my team. You know, I know Xavier. I know when he needs the ball, when Jimmy needs the ball, when Travis needs the ball, when all the guys, when Ford needs the ball. These guys are, and sometimes when you just calling it, you don't see all this stuff, and you have to be reminded. Like sometimes I would tell Coach Kelly, it's 3rd and 5, go get them. That means let's go blitz them. Ain't got time to be scared. Let's go get them.
Okay.
It's on me. And if it don't come out right, I take the responsibility in the press conference thereafter. But oftentimes it does.
I think a lot of times when somebody is a great athlete, I don't think the general public understands. Number one, you're gifted, but number 2, the effort and time and study that you guys put into it. I've heard Prime in an interview years ago. You were talking about playing against Jerry Rice or somebody, and the study that you did to pick up the intricacies of kind of some of the tells.
Yeah.
Is that same quality that's translated to being a coach?
This is college football, man. College football is much more simplistic than the pros. The pros are, oh my God, you may have 3 things going on the defense to stop the offense at one time. College football is a little more predictable. So you. To us, so that's why when we make moves, you know, like bringing the 2 what do we call them? Everybody got a name now. The analysts in.
Yeah.
You know, when you bring Dennis Thurman and Pat Shermer, why would you think I would bring those 2 in? Because they have a plethora of NFL experience. They see the game a whole lot different. Sometimes high school coordinators see it as college coordinators see it as a college. And I need guys to see it at another level as well and have that blended in, because that's what we're trying to do today. This weekend we're playing against the same darn offenses. You know, a tempo offense. Yep. And they're playing against the tempo offense. It's like the same coaches. So we've been preparing kind of the same way, but the tempo. And the thing about it, you want to slow tempo down. Yeah. You want to say, okay, call a darn play now. Okay, call a play. Right. Okay, you may see somebody go down and they may be injured or they may not be injured, all right? But we're going to stop that tempo. But because we want them to really think back and call a play, because a lot of those guys, it's tough for them to dial it up under pressure. You
just referenced TCU a little bit. Give us last thought here. Give us a quick thought about TCU.
I like what they have. I adore the coach. I mean, when he got the job, he really rallied the community, rallied the inner city, and tried to put his footprint everywhere. And I like the hiring that he had down there. And I love what he accomplished at SMU. And just what he accomplished last year was fascinating. Mm-hmm. You know, as a young coach, you sit back and try to watch that, and you saw some guys on staff, the strength and conditioning guy is one of the best in the business. So I knew him, and I was going to hire him on my staff at one point. But this guy's phenomenal, and I love his interaction with his young men. they accomplished the unthinkable, the unfathomable.
Yeah.
So just having that track record, but the spoils of winning, you lose a lot of players. So they lost a lot to the NFL. They lost some in the portal. They gained quite a bit from the portal as well. But it's not the same team that went to the national championship.
Sure, it's not.
Now, we plan on taking advantage of those inconsistencies.
Again, that's a 10 o'clock Mountain Time kickoff. 11 o'clock down there in the Central Time Zone in Fort Worth. Is Prime of the Buffs will take on TCU. Coach, next week we'll take some questions during that commercial break, all right?
we will. We will. I appreciate you all. Put your seatbelt on the couches because it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
Hey, Coach, good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we're back on Buffs Primetime, presented by Aflac. Every week, the Coach's Show hosted here at the Post Chicken and Beer with 7 Colorado Front Range locations. The Post brews delicious, award-winning beers, fries up the crispiest, juiciest hot chicken around. Fried chicken and beer go together like black and gold football. Stop by the Post for all your game time provisions. And for next week's show, again, come on out here. And again, like I said, we'll take questions in the audience in attendance here from Coach Prime. Coach Flea's joining us. Gary Harrell joining us, the assistant head coach for the Buffaloes.
Yes.
How are you in game week? You start getting itchy, or how are you working up to the ball game here?
Well, I'm about 20 years into the game. I've been coaching since 2002. So this is something that we get accustomed to, but it's just something different from where we are right now and some of the things we're about to get accomplished. So there is some nervousness, but there is some excitement. But we're very excited what's going on, what's about to happen. We did some great things in Jackson. We was able to come in and turn some things around. And they kind of feel the same way, but just on a higher, bigger level, But I think the clientele that we have, the support that we have, and the exposure that we're getting is just phenomenal.
How did you get connected with Coach Prime over the years?
Just through a conversation. I've been a head coach before at Howard University in Washington, D.C. for about 6 years. And I moved around from there, coached with Lane Kiffin at FAU. And then I got a call from a mutual friend, actually, Ray, when Prime was headed to be a head coach somewhere. We kind of figured where it would be. I never met him before, never had a conversation with him before. Right. And we spoke briefly because he wanted me to speak to him about some head coaching philosophies and experience some of the things that I experienced at a HBCU. And I kind of knew that he was headed to a HBCU. And the first time we talked, on the phone, he never said anything. I did all the talking, and that's how Coach Prime is. He wants to get to know you. He wants to draw you in and see what you have to say. And you only have about maybe 15 seconds to get his attention.
Okay.
And if you don't, you just lose him. So I had to come with all my bullet points. And through those 1, 2, and 3 conversations over the phone, I think everything I said, he's a guy going to do his own research, and he went back and validated a lot of things I said. And he said, when I become a head coach, I want you to come be my assistant head coach. And, it was a blessing. So I couldn't pass up the opportunity.
I was going to say, and you've been with him for quite some time now.
Yes.
And there's other guys that Prime was mentioning that have been as well. It's kind of a tight-knit group. You guys have got some good energy amongst you all, don't you?
Yes. It's trust. It's like a family.
Sure.
It's like being at home when they're going to work, when they come back home, that's that same person, when to deal with, when to stay. I mean, Coach Prime, when I see him coming, sometimes I know to go the other way. Sometimes I know to get answers. And, you have to read him. That's just how he is. But It's a great, great relationship. I worked with a lot of head coaches before. And Coach Prime, a guy that at that time, never been a head coach at the collegiate level. I learned so much from him. And to see where he is now, it's just crazy that his mindset, how he controls a program, how he understands young men and even the women that works in the different departments around the program. And like he said, on the sideline, he just lets you work. He don't get involved, but he knows when to interject himself into the game, and he's always felt.
So as the assistant head coach, well, what does that mean from – obviously you coach the running backs, but
Yes.
as the assistant head coach, what's your role there?
Me knowing Prime is a great relationship. It's a great question. As an assistant, you always want to be able to think like the head coach. You want to be able to fill in certain voids when he has things going on. And we know Coach Prime has a lot of things going on outside of football, but he does a great job as far as managing his time at Colorado. So I always have to think ahead of Coach Prime.
Okay.
Like I said, I know when to approach him on certain situations. So when it comes to scheduling is very important, from the day-to-day operation. So I always try to make sure that it fits what he wants. So I'm always think ahead, put schedules together, and then I go meet with him and I get his point of view. Some things he's okay with. Sometimes he don't respond. Sometimes he acts things out. But I know what he wants. I always try to make sure I think ahead
Yeah.
of some things that he likes prepared and makes his life a little bit easier. So as an assistant head coach, I always want to be an extension of Coach Prime, and I want to make sure he understands that, he's a guy that I support 100%, and, I always go all out for Coach Prime.
Where did Flea come from?
They go back to high school. I'm
Yeah.
from Miami. I was playing high school ball.
Not a Florida guy.
Another Florida guy. Out of Miami Northwestern. And it's funny because I was supposed to be a Colorado Buff coming out of high school, but that's another story.
Is that right?
Absolutely. I was committed. I was coming to be a Buff, but things changed. But I'm here now.
Yep.
But in high school, back then things were different. A lot of times the reps were live, which means when they come down, they can actually hit you and not just tag you off. And you can see my statue. I was, of course, smaller in high school, and I fielded punts. That was my forte, fielding punts. And the coach, I was in 10th grade trying to make the varsity level, and he told me to go back and field a punt. I think he was using me as a gimme pig so guys can run down and hit me. So I fielded the first punt, and I took off, and I scored.
All right.
And he said, go do it again. So the same thing happened. I caught the punt, and I took off. But as I was running, one of the coaches said, we got a flea on our hand. And then it just stuck.
It stuck.
It just stuck. But, at that time, I was running for my life.
Outstanding. Hey, let's talk about your running backs right now. Okay, we got Anthony Hankerson.
Sure.
Give me a comment or two about him.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. We're going to hear from Anthony momentarily.
The biggest thing I like about Hank is that, when you come into a program, you assess the situation. And we made changes. Some guys we want to see who can really be a part of the direction we're going in. And I'm pretty sure he probably didn't know what was going on, but he stayed true to what he is, during that time, during the spring. And he came out on the other end. And then he still faced some adversity, being a smaller back and also, being here what was going on, but he endured all those things. And we brought others in to replace him. But he's a starting running back come Saturday. So that tells a lot about who he is and the person that, and I respect him so much because he has a tremendous heart and he loves football and he loves Colorado.
Flair, I did an interview the other day for the TV show with Trevor Woods, similar situation.
Yes.
Decided I'm going to stay here and compete. And the same thing I said about him applies to Hank here.
Absolutely.
Has the mentality, I'm going to compete and bring in whoever you want. I'm still going to compete. I'm going to try and beat them out. And,
Absolutely.
And you want those kind of guys with that kind of character on your team, don't you?
No doubt about it. It goes even a bigger story than just talking to him. I always try to make sure it's just transparency when I coach a kid.
Yeah.
And let them know everything they have before them so they can have a chance to have success. I mean, just from the jersey thing, he was 22, and we made promise to another guy, and we had a conversation. I said, Hank, this is what it is.
Yeah.
It's beyond my control, but, I need you to push through it and just keep a positive attitude. But he never had a negative attitude. He's like, back to your point, he said, Coach, give him an opportunity to compete for 22.
There you
and
go.
we did. But
Yeah.
he's a great athlete. He's a great, great kid, man. He does well in the classroom. He represents Colorado very well.
This overall group, when you got Dylan Edwards in there, and one of my favorite names of all time, a new one, Kavasio Smoke. Are you kidding me with that name? Holy cow. Savion Wilkerson, who comes in with you from Jackson. You got Elton McCaskill. Charlie Offerdahl's another guy. Here's a walk-on. You want to talk about a tough son of a gun that comes in here and competes.
Yes.
I mean, that whole group. You've got a really good group of running backs there that you can utilize.
Absolutely. It's a great room. Sometimes it can be a problem. Sometimes it can be a great thing. But we use it as a situation where we have a great group of young men that support each other, no matter who's in at that time getting reps. There's never any animosity. They're never wishing for that guy to not to have success. Yeah. You're talking about Dylan Edwards, who's a smaller guy. He's more dynamic and very explosive. You got Hank Edwards who can run through the tackles and can be very explosive, does a great job in protection. Kavasio Smoke, another big back from the SEC from Kentucky. All told, he comes from Houston. He has a leg injury, so we're kind of going to hold him back because we have so many weapons we can use. And then Savion Wilkerson, the guy that I already coached at Jackson State, who was a walk-on, came in and earned a scholarship by week 3 or 4 and ended up rushing for 1,000 yards. So they have different talents. They have different traits that I can use. I can use Hank. I can use Savion to carry the load. And I can bring in Dylan Edwards, be that lightning in the bottle.
Well, I was going to say, when you've got that many guys, how do you keep a room happy? How do you balance all of that?
Just being honest, being transparency. Just let them know. Don't tell. Don't give them dreams that they can't fulfill. Yeah. And we have a great relationship. I just believe in that, to speak clearly and let the kids know this is your opportunity. And if you don't succeed, then the next man will have that same opportunity.
What gives you confidence about this team offensively as you've coached them now through fall camp?
Well, I coached with Coach Kenneth Browse at FAU, and we had success with Lane Kiffin. So I know the offense can be very explosive. And when you have the pieces around with the Hank Edwards, when you got the Travis Hunter, the Jimmy Horn, Xavier Weaver, and the quarterback is the most important piece.
Sure.
I mean, and Sean Lewis does a great job. He knows when to call certain plays. We're going to be very explosive. We're going to win a lot of ball games because we're going to outscore you.
Yeah. Give us a quick thought about TCU.
Great team. Yeah. You know, when you think about a team that was in the championship last year, you have to have respect for that team.
Amen.
They did a great job as far as they lost some talent, but they replenished that talent. The defense, you know, very fast, very physical, and they do a great job as far as disguising on defense, doing what they do. They don't try to do too much, but they do a good job as far as bending and not breaking, which means they're going to stay where they are. They're going to be in position. They're not going to take a whole lot of gambles, a whole lot of risks, and hope you make a mistake, and then they capitalize on those things. So we have to be very detailed and make sure we understand we can control the controllables.
Game day, are you in a booth or you down the
I'm a
sideline guy?
Yes.
Yeah, you want to be in the middle of the...
I got to be right there with the guys. I
Get
love
out
being
there
in the
middle
mix.
of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, it's been great to have you guys here in town, obviously, and we finally get to play a game on Saturday.
That's here. You know, we've been waiting for this opportunity, man. We've been hearing a lot about, you know, we want to get back to the early 90s. You know, we want to make this sound very exciting.
Amen. Amen. Coach, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Coach Fleet, Gary Harrell, running backs coach, assistant head coach for the Buffaloes. Coming up next, one of his guys you just talked about, Anthony Hankerson, during our player segment. He'll join us here on Buffs Primetime, presented by Aflac for the Post Chicken and Beer. This is Colorado football from Learfield. Back one final time on Buffs Primetime, presented by Aflac. We're at the Post Chicken and Beer in downtown Boulder, week one of the college football season. Colorado with number 17, TCU on Saturday. Again, it's an early game. Get up. It's Breakfast with the Buffs. We'll hit the air on the radio network at 8 a.m. with the Buffalo Stampede pregame show. Gary Barnett, Bobby Passavano, and yours truly. And then the Buffs and the Horned Frogs kicking it off at 10 a.m. Our player guest, Anthony Hankerson, joining us here. He's a Florida guy as well. Give him a round of applause. All right, first tough question. Do you know what a horned frog is?
No.
Most people don't. Who here knows what a horned frog is? Any show of hands?
I don't. I just know they're purple.
Yeah, they're purple. That's right. They are purple. A horned frog is a lizard, actually. It's not a frog.
Oh, wow.
I'm not lying to you. I'm telling you the honest truth, though. I had to look it up the other day just to make sure I knew. So, yeah, it's actually a lizard. But you kind of excited. Things change for you game week a little bit? I mean, can you feel the intensity kind of rising?
Yes.
Yeah?
The moment is getting closer.
Yeah.
You feel it. It's in the energy's in the air.
What has this experience been like for you? I mentioned I talked to Trevor the other day. And for you guys that were on the team a year ago, Anthony, you think about, here we're sitting at the end of the season, 1-11. It was a tough year, right? It was just, it wore us all out. And things are, everyone's got to diver down. And all of a sudden, here we are, 8-9 months later. And Colorado is maybe the most talked about college football team in America.
Right.
You're a starting running back for this. I mean, what's this experience been like for you? Crazy, right?
Adversity.
Yeah.
That's all I gotta say. Adversity. It's been a lot of ups and downs. For me, having that type of season I had last year, coming out of high school, a lot of things were new for me.
Yeah.
I'm a big person of everybody's writing their own story, and
Nice.
you go through your own chapters. And right now, I just feel like this is a different chapter for me.
Sure.
Flipping the page. Last year, that chapter's over with. It's starting to focus on what's in front.
If you would have jumped in the portal because of the way college athletics is, nobody probably would have batted an eye and been like, well, that happens. Why didn't you at that time?
I ain't got no quit in me.
There you go. Great answer. Great answer.
Right.
Yeah. No quit.
No quit in me.
Yeah. Was that just innate to you? Did you talk to family members and say, what do you think about this? Or was it just, man, I'm sticking around?
I ain't even talked to my mom about it.
Really?
Neither of my parents, really, just being a South Florida guy, we grew up competing with everything, racing to the bus stop, racing in recess. It's gonna take a lot for me to quit. I mean, for you to make me quit at that, I'm a big competing guy. That's why I grew up. That's how I came from.
And it's interesting in programs like this. I've heard coaches say this before. Their job every year is to go out and recruit somebody better than you. Your job's to get better to make sure you're better than who they bring in, right? I mean, that's the mindset.
Absolutely.
Yeah. This running back room is loaded with talent.
Yes, sir.
Just the fact that those guys are so good has got to raise your game, doesn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. How do you get along with everybody?
Nah, we cool. Everybody in there, we're like brothers. We're family in there. We take our job very seriously. it's a way we go about our work. Well, in the running back room, and it's crazy because, especially as a running back, but in the room like that, a lot of folks don't get along with each other, and you know, we still get along with each other. We hang out with each other at the house.
Okay.
Like we just set up something for next week Wednesday. We all going to Canes, and
Okay.
you know, so it's like a brother oriented, and that's the best. That's the best way you want to be anyway.
Yeah. You got a new number now.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Number 9?
Yes, sir.
Number 9. New chapter.
New era.
Yeah. We sit up here with Coach Prime, and I've said before, I mean, he's a great coach. He's a cultural icon. He's a celebrity, on and on down the line.
Yes, sir.
What's it like being a guy on the roster for Coach Deion Sanders?
He's gonna get it out you.
Yeah?
He know everybody is capable of what they display on an everyday basis, and he's gonna get it up out you. He's gonna make you compete. He's gonna make you show who you really are and who you really can be. He's gonna push you to that next limit.
Tell me why you think this offense has got great potential going into this season.
There's so many weapons.
Yeah?
You don't know if you guard the air, we're gonna beat you with the run. If you stack the box, we're gonna beat you over top.
How about Shedeur Sanders as a quarterback? I mean, quarterback's a leader, right? They've got to be a leader on this team.
Yes, sir.
Talk about that a little bit.
Shedeur, he's a guy. I heard Coach Fleet earlier. The way he goes by his work, you know, you kind of absorb that energy. You know, by him being a quarterback, he got the upper voice, and he knows how and where to put his guys and put them in great to receive great opportunities, like whether it's catching the handoff or even catching the pass. He puts you in great spots so you could be successful.
Yeah. He throws a nice ball, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
It's a catchable ball.
Yes, sir.
And that may seem obvious, but a lot of quarterbacks, not all the time is that the case.
Right.
Yeah. Give us a quick thought about TCU next week, or this weekend.
We coming.
Yeah?
We coming.
Two best answers by Anthony. I ain't got no quit in me, and we coming. That's it right there.
Yes, sir.
Hey, man, you know what? You are a great story. You're the kind of guy that we need in this program, that attitude, that fight. You know, as Coach likes to say, you got dog in you, that kind of stuff.
Yes, sir.
Going out there and fight and have a great game on Saturday, will you?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's hear it for Anthony Hankerson. He and the Buffaloes will take on TCU in the season opener. It's a national game, an early game. We're going to hit the air at 8 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. The Colorado Football Network will kick things off at 10 a.m. Gary Barnett, Bobby Pasavento, and yours truly. How about a big round of applause for the Post for hosting us here today? We'll see you guys next week. We're back out here for week 2. But first, let's get ready for some football down at Fort Worth, Texas on Saturday. It's the Buffaloes and the Horned Frogs. This is Colorado Football from Learfield.